Recently, I was browsing the endless void that we call the Steam store when I discovered a game called Neon. The game, at first glance, is completely unexceptional. Low poly shapes, untextured walls, crude lighting, all things that you'd expect to see when you envision the new releases tab. Well, minus the AI Gooner slop, I guess, but besides that, I was practically ready to move on after watching 5 seconds of that trailer. Well, that was all until I saw the game creators conveniently linked YouTube channel below the game's store page.
Ah, now that's a good smell.
Sorry, that's my talking flower. You know, the one from Mario Wonder? Nintendo made a real desk toy thing, and I had to get one. He's kind of weird, though. Sorry, the channel's name is Logna Blue, and it's pretty clear that he's the most active here. His most popular videos consist of him critiquing other indie horror game projects. If you're even somewhat active in the mascot horror space, you've probably even seen his video on Gartner Banban, which amassed over 1 million views. Now all this seems nice and well, but none of it really changed the fact that I just didn't want to play his game that much. Well, that was until I saw one of his most recent videos. The Great Logna Crashout. Long story short, people didn't really like Neon. Naturally, the players gave their feedback, and for once Logna was the one receiving the critique, and he hated it. He absolutely loses his mind. That's right, the guy who critiques games as a hobby breaks down and starts insulting anyone who has any reason to dislike his game. You know what? Why don't you just see for yourself?
So there were a lot of you guys complaining. A lot of you guys complaining. A lot of you guys complaining about this level. Complaining that, oh, this one's too hard. Oh my god, this one's too hard. I can't solve it, please. I can't. Shut up. And I just told them skill issue. Because they were a bunch of whiny babies that... I mean, they were a bunch of whiny babies. Avoid dropping stuff from high distances as glass may break. Well, what do you see there? There's a platform up high. And look at that! There's a box! Wow! And then, if you take too long, he says, hey, the cards tell you what to do, not the numbers, the symbols. Wow! Oh, well, let's see. How many cubes do I have to use? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, now. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Would you look at that? That's all you need. Congratulations. You solved it. I don't care that I'm screaming in the mic. I don't care that I'm screaming in the mic. Do not care. It's not that hard. It's not that hard, guys. Not that hard, guys. You should do a gameplay, because there's one section that I am stuck at with the cards. Skill issue. I mean, I know it's supposed to be hard. It just feels like a massive difficulty spike. It's really not. How do you do it? I know I need to make a diamond, but how? I genuinely still don't know. I tried a few things. I'll try again soon, but I just have no idea how. You need to make it a hollow one so it touches the edges of the thing like this. Oh my god, thank you so much. Great, now I'm stuck in the keypad puzzle. Lame developer. It's not hard. It isn't. It's not. It's not difficult, guys. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. It's not. I'll go insane. It's not difficult. Not hard. It's not. Shut up.
Let me just say that I was immediately hooked after watching that. It is quite rare that you see a developer who is so resistant to, and honestly, downright offended by player feedback. If the players of your game are so consistently confused and stuck in the same part of your game, is it even still a skill issue? Or maybe, just maybe, your game design skills are not as good as you think they are. These people are taking the time out of their day to even give your game a chance, spending their own money to do so. And instead of taking this criticism and reconsidering your game's design, you just call them stupid. I can't imagine why someone would actually post this willingly. I mean, I wouldn't even post this if I had a gun to the back of my head. And yet here it is, on his YouTube channel. And I could imagine that there's going to be a lot of people who see this video and they're just going to be completely turned away from playing any of Logna's future games. Like, it'd be one thing if he was just taking the generalized negativity his game was receiving and complaining about that. But no, he starts going after individual people, finding them in the comments and harassing them just for asking for a guide. That's completely insane. And keep in mind, this is all coming from someone who critiques other indie games on his channel. Okay. So, you know what? I know there's a lot more to watch here, but I don't really want to spoil any more Neon than I already have. So how about we go through the first couple levels of Neon, and then analyze Logna Blue's largest video, The Many Flaws of Garten of Banban. I just think it would be really interesting to compare his own game to the criticisms he holds against other developers. Okay, not a bad start, a little lacking. Oh, is he supposed to be doing that? I mean, the drunken robot doesn't give me the strongest first impression, but besides that, there isn't too much to dwell on. Which means there's no better time to hit start.
Welcome, tester, to the Divination Science Defense Training Initiative. God, that's still a mouthful. You already know why you're here and what you signed up for, so I'll spare you the exposition. See the boxes on your right? Put one of them on that button over there, then head through the door and we'll get started.
And thank you for the warm welcome, Mr. Announcer. Though it is kind of strange that the game starts me staring at the ceiling. Anyway, it's already pretty clear that this game is heavily inspired by Portal. Test cubes, sterile scientific environments, and a quirky narrator to top it off. Even the level itself is directly translated from Portal's first level. But I'll just chalk that up to innocent and fun inspiration. Unfortunately though, it doesn't take very long to realize how bad these controls are. It always feels like it's a half a second behind what you actually want it to do. It's almost like you're always walking on ice, just because it takes so long to build up speed and finally stop moving once you let go of a movement key. The walls are also super excited to grip you every time you come anywhere near them, which in tandem makes for quite the dizzying experience when you enter a tight space. Even still, the first level was cleared pretty quickly.
Alright, first test. Now, hopefully this isn't too difficult, but you never know. Some people are less intelligent than others.
Yeah, so there's the narrator again. I'm just gonna be honest, this character is completely without riz. I mean, they must have hooked Wheatley up with a Reddit quote or something, because most of the time that he's interjecting, it's just to insult your intelligence. And big surprise, that gets old pretty quickly. And the strangest thing about this level, you just pick the doors up off their hinges. There's no explanation or acknowledgement of this phenomenon either. And it's like this way with every single door in the game too. You pick it up and you just set it to the side? The thought process is beyond me. Even worse is that the door becomes pretty annoying to traverse around if you put it down in the wrong place. Luckily for me though, I could just... There we go. So now we're introduced to this game's main mechanic. Swappable tools that we can find in the environment. And what better tool than the classic grappling hook? And I'll be honest, it's quite fun to use. Well, at least relative to how the rest of the game feels. So anyways, you beat the level and you move on to the next one before... Yeah, there it is. So this game has some secret hidden lore thing going on, but I don't know if I had the energy to tackle that. I did find this hidden door back here though, with a little pippy glitch in the pooper. Who knows what collecting that does though. Anyways, here's the second tool, rocket jumper thing. It's a fun idea, but it suffers greatly from the poor player controller. And the shots don't even go towards your reticle either. So why even bother putting the reticle there in the first place if its alignment is pointless? And just look at this reload animation. Cinema. After just a couple quick jumps, you're already on to level 4, which unfortunately is a stealth puzzle. This might be tough, so just hold on to your britches, I'm gonna go in. Yeah, honestly, I'm not even sure why this section of the game is here. You can just walk past them. Sometimes they might see you, but their aim doesn't really do them any favors. And just like in the main menu, they slip in place like this. I have no idea what causes it. It's just so strange to look at. And that's all this entire stage consists of, just running past the same guards 3 times over. Anyways, with stage 4 completed, I think we've all had our fair share of Neon for the time being. I say it's time to go check out what Lognablu has to say about Garten of Banban. After all, this video is what put him on the map. It's where he staked his claim as a game developer and used his developer knowledge to smite down the evil, nasty Euphoric brothers, and finally put them in their place for once and for all. And especially now that we're armed with context, it'll make watching this video quite entertaining. Oh wait, actually, before I start this video, I just wanted to say that I am not a Banban defender. I really don't know anything about the game series. I just realized that I actually might come off as some sort of Banban superfan, but in reality I'm just critical of Logna's analysis and nothing more. So anyways, we can just hit start now.
Garten of Banban. If you were anywhere on the internet in 2023, you probably heard this name. Garten of Banban.
Actually, we're gonna skip this part. It's just context slop.
The gameplay for the first chapter of Garten of Banban goes as follows. Upon loading into the game, you're met with the entrance to Banban's kindergarten. You make your way into a side room where you unlock the main mechanic of the game, the drone. Using the main mechanic, you enter a large area where the main antagonist of the game is teased. You solve a couple of puzzles before being chased by said antagonist, which then ends with them falling to their supposed death, only for them to return later in a sequel. You enter the final room of the game where a new character is teased, thought to be the antagonist of the next game, but isn't. Now, keeping that in mind, let me summarize to you the gameplay for the first chapter of Poppy Playtime. Upon loading into the game, you're met with the entrance to Playtime Co. You make your way into a side room where you unlock the main mechanic of the game, the grab pack. Using the main mechanic, you enter a large area where the main antagonist of the game is teased. You solve a couple of puzzles before being chased by said antagonist, which ends up with them falling to their supposed death, only for them to return later in a sequel. You enter the final room of the game where a new character is teased, thought to be the antagonist of the next game, but isn't. Sounds a little similar, doesn't it?
Lognablu's first gripe with Garten of Banban is that it's way too similar to Poppy Playtime. Which, okay, sure, I can understand why someone would see the similarities and call that lazy, but how is that not the least bit ironic considering how heavily your game borrows from Portal? Same aesthetic, same test cube, same buttons, hell, like I mentioned earlier, same exact first level. And we haven't even gotten into the other elements that are completely reused from Portal. And keep in mind that this guy was working on Neon when he made this video. I mean, I just can't believe he's gonna say all this with a straight face, criticizing Banban for doing the exact same thing that he's doing with his own game, even going so far as to call it egregious. And let me make myself clear, in both cases, I really don't see the harm in being heavily inspired by something. Because at the end of the day, both Neon and Banban are extremely different from what they were inspired by, even despite their numerous similarities. Actually, you know what? Let's save this section for later. Lognablu makes some interesting gameplay design decisions later in the game. So let's go to the next one.
Usually, when you have a model that is present for basically the entirety of a game's runtime, you would want that model to have a lower poly count so that the game runs better.
Small tangent, but he flipped his reasoning around. The portal gun that he used as an example would be considered a hero asset. And hero assets are actually supposed to be more geometrically complex with higher resolution textures, explicitly because they're on screen at all times. I mean, just think about it logically. This item is going to be the closest thing to your screen at all times, meaning that it's definitely going to be held under the most scrutiny. So it's probably for the best to spare some of those extra polygons and computing power for something that looks a lot more visually impressive. Lognablu is at least correct in saying that the Banban button does not need that many polygons for how geometrically simple it is. I mean, seriously, that thing is a monstrosity.
And you know what's funny? This is only an issue for the models that the Euphoric brothers themselves made, which is only like 3% of the models in the game. The other 97% is taken from asset stores. I have no problem with developers using pre-made assets, but I do have a problem when the entire game is made from them. I've used pre-made assets for my game, but if you were to take them out, there would still be a game. If you took the pre-made assets out of Banban, it would basically just be you, Opila, and a few walls and decals. Here's everything in Banban 1 that is a pre-made asset. Reception desk, office chair, couch, trash/garbage can.
Okay, I mean, just come on. You know, why don't we just have a little look-see at the list of pre-made assets that Neon uses? The guns, pre-made. The water, pre-made. Lights, pre-made. Keypads that you'll see in a little bit, pre-made. Pipes, pre-made. The desk is pre-made. And that's just a bunch of rectangles slapped together. Why would you go on such a tirade on this point when most of your game is also comprised of pre-made assets? I mean, he says that at least Neon would still be a playable game without his asset use, and I guess he would be right. The button, and the cube are made by Logna Blue, to my knowledge, so you could at least get through half the game. And it's like, what's the alternative option for a small indie dev these days? Don't have assets in your level at all? I mean, I suppose that's the route you took in some of these stages. Even with your pre-made assets, it's still hard to tell that this is even supposed to be a scientific laboratory of some sort. Really, there's nothing wrong with having a majority of your game be comprised of pre-made assets. That is, as long as you're doing a good job of blending it with your world. Which honestly, I think Banban does a better job at this than Neon does. Especially considering how Neon's environment is 99% comprised of blankly textured cube rooms, with the occasional desk or potted plant scattered around randomly. So once again, he's just tearing down another developer for doing exactly what he's doing with his own game. I mean, at this point, I'm kind of just wondering if he even recognizes that his game has all the same flaws that he imposes onto Banban. And ironically, I guess the most obvious answer is that he just doesn't. Which it's either that, or maybe he believes that Banban deserves a higher level of critique simply because it's found more success than other games in the genre. Which I guess would then make Neon immune to the same problems that he holds against Banban. But I think it's unreasonable to say that a game should be held to different standards based on how successful it is. Either way, I don't know, and I'm probably just overanalyzing it. All he really says in this section of the video is that Banban has unrealistic environments for a kindergarten. Which it's pretty understandable why someone would care about realism to that extent, but in this case it really doesn't matter, and it's not really relevant to what I'm talking about, so we're just gonna go to the next chapter.
Believe it or not, Garten Banban isn't actually the first game the Euphoric Brothers have made. They've made 10 other non-Banban games.
Okay, so this section of the video is kind of strange because he stops talking about the Garten Banban, more so focusing on the developers. He begins by talking about the Euphoric Bros' other games and how most of them are pretty decent, some of them are good, which the quality of these games doesn't really matter all that much. I mean, this is a video about Garten of Banban, so it's all kind of besides the point that he's even bringing up the developers' past games. I mean, it's kind of like if I judge Logna Blue's next game based on the quality of Neon, which is just kind of unfair. But then he puts a disproportionate amount of time into talking about their game Introvert, a teenager simulator.
They market the game as something that, to directly quote from the Steam page, talks about serious issues such as bullying and suicidal thoughts in a new and different way that will hopefully be interpreted better by the new generation. But looking at the reviews for the game, they can't even do that right, and the Steam page description isn't free from the humor either. Quote again, I made this game because I was sad, so it took a while to be finished, because, it's hard to work on something when you're sad. This is the official Steam page for the game. Why? I can understand making a game about sensitive topics. It's been done plenty of times before in games like My Eyes Deceive. But that game doesn't insert tons of unneeded humor. The small amounts of humor that are in the game help with the story. Therefore, it makes sense to have it in the game. The humor in Introvert, a Teenager Simulator is totally unneeded.
So, just judging by all the reviews that he's shown off in the video, it makes it seem like people largely didn't like the game. But if you actually take a moment to look at the game's store page on Steam, it sits with mostly positive ratings, so this narrative that most people dislike the game is completely false. As for the game itself, it made me laugh a couple times, had some charming moments, and yes, it does touch on some serious subjects. Some may call it distasteful and even say it doesn't have a right to exist, but I just don't think that's true. This up-and-coming creator Ferris created something that got people talking. It's a strange mix of comedy and tragedy, and that's exactly what made people uncomfortable. It highlights an invisible reality that is mostly ignored in our day-to-day life. Logna also conveniently ignores any hints of sincerity that this game displays. It also says nothing about the fact that this game is free. By no means is it perfect. I just don't like the fact that it's being used as a tool to shut down any further thought. Oh, you made this cool new game? Well, sorry, you also made Introvert, a Teenager Simulator when you're 19, and we're going to bring this up every time you make a new game, and hold it against you until, well, who knows when. I just think that's a really frustrating thought process.
It is scummy to charge $5 for a game that can be beaten in around an hour on a casual playthrough.
Also, what? You charge $1 for a game that could probably be beaten in 10 minutes without the frustrating puzzle design. So, it's scummy when someone else charges money for a short experience, but it's okay when you do it? Ultimately, people are still choosing to support this game because they deem it worthy of their time and money. So who are you to dictate the price of any game that's on the market that isn't yours? As if there's some sort of invisible set of rules behind what is and isn't acceptable when selling digital goods, and you're the one who should have final say. It's especially strange when this is effectively the final point that he even makes against Banban. After this, Logna concludes the video with a little special piece of advice from one game developer to another. And this one is a real doozy.
One last piece of advice. While other people making videos like this have said something similar, I'd like to repeat it because I think it's important. Don't let criticism get to you. You've shown through the tweet I brought up a bit ago that criticism can and has gotten to you. Instead of crashing out on Twitter, maybe listen to what people are saying and improve your games from that. Banban is far from a perfect game franchise, but it could become so much better if you just listen to people instead of hating on them for refunding your games. If people criticize Neum when it releases, I will listen to what they say and try to either update the game to fix what people are criticizing, or at least refrain from making those mistakes in any future games I make. And if I don't do that, please, hold me accountable.
Don't let the criticism get to you. Don't let the criticism get to you, he says. Hold me accountable, he says. You think the crash out from earlier was bad? Oh, dear viewer, you haven't even seen the half of it yet. After that, Logna legitimately just starts losing his mind at anyone on the internet who isn't explicitly positive about his game.
It's not hard. I'm calling out the people that said it. I'm calling them out. Because genuinely, it's not hard. Where is it, this person? You, Mr. at Top Hat Game 5, you are an idiot. You're dumb. I don't care. I don't care if you get mad. I don't care if you unsubscribe. You're dumb. You too, Dom not currently racing. You're dumb too. You're all idiots. Both of you. Everyone.
Even better yet, Logna starts going through the negative reviews on his game to specifically call out to people who didn't like his game. How unhinged can a person be?
Just nothing else, just hard. Hard. Guy Chrysler, hard. Bet you've never had a woman say that to you in your life, Guy Chrysler. Bet you never have. Bet you never have. You too, Worm. You too, Top Hat Game. Never had that. Never. Shut up, Alarm.
Oh, that breathing. It even makes a grown possum like me shiver. This is the same guy who said don't let criticism get to you. Really soak that in. That was the last piece of advice Logna gave to the Euphoric brothers in his Banban video. I'm not really even sure what more could be said about his analysis on Banban. It really just felt like he was walking through all the common talking points against the game at the time, without really considering how these points applied to his own project. Speaking of, there's still a lot more to Neon that I think is worth talking about, so why don't we just jump in where we left off?
Ooh, that's not great. Well, it would appear that the floor is caved in on itself. Now, you do still have to finish the test, so good luck. As far as I remember, there's a button somewhere to open the door down there.
Okay, so the announcer has a point here. There is certainly no floor. Why would he not know this? Well, that's a great question, because I have no idea. Throughout the game, he's just been acting extremely strange, especially as some sort of authoritative figure in this facility. The fact that he is unaware that there is structural decay, or the fact that he acts so unprofessionally, or he has so much disdain for the company's motto, these are all behaviors of a character who could be interesting, but ultimately we don't know anything about this character. We don't know his fundamental characteristics, so he really just comes across as a blank husk who occasionally throws Reddit tier intelligence insults at the player, which really just makes this core character fall completely flat. And like, just taking a step back, why is the floor even collapsed anyways? Like, there hasn't really been any indicators of facility turmoil or decay, so it just kind of feels random. Like it's checking off boxes off of Portal's plot points. And it's not like we get any satisfying answers to why the facility is in such a state, or as to who this announcer character is, so these ideas, at least outwardly, seem like Portal references and nothing more. Which is super ironic coming from Logna Blue, the guy who made a critique video on Banban where an entire chapter of the video was dedicated to how bad and egregious it is to be heavily inspired by another piece of media. But I don't know, make of that what you will. On a side note though, there is a cute little secret radio room Easter egg, so I mean that's kinda cool, I dig it.
Are you tired of plain old boring pizza? Is that pepperoni just not satisfying your intestines? Well, look no further than pineapple pizza.
The next level is where the game starts to incorporate random gambling elements, which... does anyone have any idea why this is showing up? Is there any thematic relevance that I'm missing here? No? I don't know, maybe he just thought it looked cool. Also, the glass is fake. Oh my. So we finally made it. The level that started it all.
Some whiny babies.
Good times, right?
Blah, blah, blah. Cards on the table, blah, blah, blah.
And as he says, the cards are present on the table, which, thank God he says that, because those cards are deceptively hard to find. Like, the first time I was playing through this game, I was doing it with a friend of mine. And while the announcer was doing his whole spiel, we were having a conversation, and I completely missed the line, leading to me running around without the core piece of the puzzle for several minutes of my time. Which I'll say is mostly my fault because, well, I wasn't paying attention. But there is something to be said about the visual design of this puzzle. I mean, the core piece of it is just on this random, indiscriminate desk in the corner of the room. Nothing to really lead your eyes towards what you need to be interacting with. Which, as the developer says, as Mr. Logna Blue says, clearly, this is the player's fault. Any sort of frustration that the mass of players are experiencing with your game, it's not your fault. No, 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 no. Player's fault. You know, actually, I think I read that somewhere. I think Gabe Newell said that, actually. It's a quote from Gabe Newell. Always the player's fault. Make sure to remind them they are stupid. Yeah, classic quote. That Gabe guy, genius. I will give compliments to the room on the left here for having this poster on the wall. The poster tells you the solution to the puzzle in a natural way, which is pretty cool. Drop the box off the top, break the glass, get the cube, stuff like that. Why the high-impact explosive rocket launcher can't break the glass? Well, you're not supposed to think about it that hard. Anyways, put the cubes in the shape of a diamond, you get that from the missing card piece above, yada yada, move on. To another Nothing Burger level, of course. Next. Okay, so we finally made it to the poster level. This is the first of what I like to call the keypad disaster puzzles. There are some posters and some numbers and colors on the posters, and then up here there are some blocks and some colors and some numbers, and it's a real good time. The thing is, there are multiple different ways of interpreting the color-number correlations, and of course there's only one right solution. So ultimately, like, this level becomes a really big drag because every time you want to verify the information, you have to slowly rappel back up or release your hook and then run to the posters. To test your solutions, then you have to run up to the keypad, put the numbers in, and, well, it's not like it's torture or anything, but man, is it sure tedious. Makes it even worse that the announcer tells you how unbearable it is that you didn't instantly solve the puzzle. Anyways, great addition to a video game, I think. Now why don't we look at some developer commentary on this level and see what Logna Blue had to say about the criticism he received.
I added hints for that one as well. I added hints for this one too. And people still got it without the hints. But no, the children can't figure it out. No, they're just stuck. They're just idiots. They don't know what they're doing. No, not at all. No, the game's too hard, they said. The game's too hard, they said. The game's not straightforward enough, they said. No. It's not hard. It's easy. You just have one brain cell.
So after finally finding the correct solution to that keypad puzzle, you find yourself in front of what might be considered the best level ever added to a video game. A maze level. But not just any maze. A maze with random numbers scattered throughout, where you don't find the key until you solve the maze. Then you have to run back through the maze, find the numbers in the right order, and then bring all of this back to yet another keypad. I might as well be doing grade school worksheets right now, not playing a video game. And to think, it was already a bold enough choice adding a maze to a video game in the year 2026, but doing this? Just dastardly. I mean, at best, this section just feels like you're padding for time. Because what is a player really expected to do other than just wander aimlessly until they suddenly find an exit? And can we really even consider that gameplay? And I mean, I hate to say it, but the best part about this level is the fact that the answer is hard-coded. So every time you come back to the same puzzle, you can just put the same answer in. But whatever, at least it's done. And we can finally move on from... Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me. So it's another keypad level. Are we even still playing a video game here? It feels like I'm missing a time clock somewhere. Did I jump the shark on the homework comment back there? Okay, fine, you know what? We'll just solve it and move on, real quick. Oh, great. Okay, done. Now let's just throw this back to Logna one more time for some enlightening commentary.
And then there were people that had the audacity to get stuck on this one. Guys, you see this? It's a code. Oh, look at that. It's a code translator. Wow, you want to know what this translates to? It translates to above entrance. Wow, would you look at that? There's another code above the entrance. You want to know what this translates to? It translates to numbers. And if you put the numbers in here, it drops a box on the button. Look at how hard that is, guys. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. So difficult.
With that, we are finally done with the keypad gauntlet. Theoretically. For brevity's sake, we're just going to skip past this part. There's not much interesting there. You find this little bulletin board has some little funny memes on it. Makes me laugh. Anyways, next level. Ah, okay, good. This level. So, I got stuck on this one the longest of any stage, probably combined. And it looks pretty simple at first. Grab that cube, put it on the button, you get out. Easy. The problem arises, however, when the platform breaks underneath you after crossing the gap. Your first few attempts, you might try jumping over the gap before realizing that it's just out of reach. At that point, the only thing you have left to use is the rocket launcher. And since you can't hold the cube and the rocket launcher at the same time, yeah, the first time I played through this game, I legit spent half an hour trying to get this cube across the gap with the rocket launcher. So goddamn frustrating. Keep in mind the bullets still don't go where your reticle is, the physics are extremely inconsistent, and funnily enough, the ammo count only seems to be a suggestion. I was getting so mind-numbingly bored that I genuinely had to pull a Family Guy just to keep going. I seriously can't imagine that this was the intended solution to the puzzle because it feels so bad. But I legit had no idea how to tackle it otherwise. And unfortunately, there are zero Let's Plays or guides to actually get me through this section of the game. Well, that was until I revisited the Crash Out video.
And then, don't even get me started. And then I had someone DM me. It was probably one of the easier puzzles on the game. They said, hey man, the level after the loading zone, it's too hard. I can't get past it. You know, I'm not sure what to do when I jump across here. This platform falls. Oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know how to get past it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do. You want to know what to do? You want to know what to do, do ya? Do ya? You want to know? You pick up the door, and guess what? You go across. And then look at that. You make the really easy jump. Look at how hard that was! Look at how difficult it was! It was so hard! I had people send me messages saying, I'm stuck! Please! Please help me! Please, I can't do it! I can't do it!
Like, you gotta be kidding me. Is that the intended solution? Using player controller jank that was never taught to the player as a solution to your puzzle. And then calling the players dumb for not realizing that. Like, I'm just having trouble going through the thought process here. Why even bother putting the rocket launcher there? It just doesn't make any goddamn sense. This has to be the ultimate game design truth nuke that I have ever seen. Don't teach your players anything, and then squirm around when they get confused. Just get me out of here. Get me to the next level. I'm done. Ah, splendid. A chase section. You know, I was really thinking that Neon was missing one of those. But all things considered, I would actually say that the chase section in this game is probably the most fun that it gets. So, gotta give a little credit where it's due. The funny thing is though, is I actually had no clue that this game even had a slide mechanic until the game screamed it in front of my face. But you know, the best time to introduce a new mechanic is during a chase section, of course. Aside from that, about halfway through this chase, the roof collapses in front of the player, but it leaves like massive gaps on both sides of the collapse, which led me to believe that I could just maneuver around it and keep going. But apparently the expectation was that you turn around and go through the door behind you, which ultimately led to me dying the first time I played through the section. For clarity's sake, it would have been so much more clear if you just added a little bit more debris there. Past that, the rest of the chase is pretty easy. You get to the end, there's a little fake out at the door, and then you're done. And now the door which lays so patiently in front of us leads to the final section of the game. What could be on the other side? Well, it could be anything. You got any guesses? Well, why don't we just sit back, get comfortable, and see if you were right.
This is your last test.
Activating final boss protocol.
My God.
You gotta be fucking kidding me! Okay, just breathe. Just breathe. Congratulations, sister.
Yeah, I mean, designing boss fights is pretty hard. He sure puts his soul into that voice acting, though. And what could be waiting on the other side of that door after such a marvelous showcase? Well, of course, another scene that's clearly reminiscent of Portal 1's ending. And just in case you thought Neon couldn't fit yet another Portal reference in, yep, that's right. The room fills with neurotoxin. Maybe we can call it Neon Toxin
In this game, am I right? I thought it'd be funny if I said that, cause it sounds like neon.
And just like that, the game's over. A truly riveting experience. I may have had some pretty negative takes throughout the video, but I really want to emphasize that it's cool that Logna made a game at all. It has some flaws, but even putting together a simple game is pretty damn challenging. Like, it even has custom music and voice acting, and some of the music was actually pretty damn good. So, I just want to say, despite everything, thank you Logna for making Neon. And I'll be looking forward to whatever you make next. I just hope that, you change your mindset around negative feedback a little bit. Because seriously, that was not a good... Wait, wasn't there a girl behind me? No, I swear there was. She was under the tree.
What the hell? I'm sorry, lady. I promise I'll...
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage, I can't afford a carriage. But you look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two.